Well, hello, this is Vinnie, and this is the world according to Vinnie. I'm back with you today, always smoking a cigar. I think that's a Rocky Patel today. Today we're gonna do the history of watches. Going to do a history of watches. Thought we'd talk about that. It's something I like. I like cigars. I collect watches. I think right now I got 31. I'll show some pictures here shortly. But just doing something different. Maybe this will interest you. Like last week I did the, just drive about. And don't know if you like that or not, but I'm enjoying it. So don't forget though, if you like any of these, my Sunday fun days and all that, and trending news, hit the subscribe button and notification bell. Really appreciate it. And also in the description, if you're thinking about buying anything on Amazon, I have a link. It doesn't cost you a cent. You go on there, and then Amazon kind of helps the channel. Appreciate it. So, watches, they've been around a long time. But what is the actual history of watches? I really never thought about it, but my girlfriend Sherry suggested I look this up since I collect watches. Or how were they made? Watches today are not what they used to be. Look at the smartphone, for example. What we know is that it can take calls, send text, track fitness, carry out scores of other functions. At this point, though, of highly advanced technology, it's interesting to look back through the history and understanding where watches came from in the first place. So let's do this. The invention of the clock, before we talk watches, the invention then, we've got to go over the history of timekeeping, actually. Through early civilizations used primitive time-telling devices such as sundials. The first clock was invented by the English in 1275. They were so basic that all they could do is ring a bell at every hour. Stone engineers and blacksmiths collaborated for hundreds of years, eventually were able to build clocks looked roughly like mechanical ones we have today. They also started to experiment with metals, outside traditional material, steel that included silver, bronze, and brass. Kind of made them look good. Pocket watches, though, when that pocket watch was invented, that was a big breakthrough. They were still primitive times that the famous religious figure John Calvin actually banned wearing of jewelry in Switzerland. This opened up a massive opportunity for anybody in Switzerland that could create pocket watches. Historically, the first of them was produced in the late 1500s, and like the earliest clocks, only had an hour hand. And as the utility and popularity of pocket watches became apparent, the industry was further funded and advanced. Kind of amazing, private sector fun stuff. Okay, never mind. The result was more reliable pieces, inclusion of minute and second hands, and with everyone wanted one. In the 19th century, though, the Industrial Revolution took place. Every industry was experiencing massive improvements. Many changes took place, but the most prominent was superior products, lower prices, mass production. And one sector that was swept up in this wave of productivity was pocket watches, and they finally reached mass market. Before this, only the wealthy could afford stuff like this. Now commoners could afford them too. Now, the wristwatch history. I think what I'm going to do, if you would, you'll see a couple pictures of my watches. I've got a couple pictures that you'll see right now. Through wristwatches, it's been around for centuries. They were not widespread. In fact, they were primarily worn by wealthy women. Reason was that first watches were too expensive for common people. Then, after the prices fell, there were still very few people wearing them because they were considered a woman's style. And not many women chose to wear watches. What shifted the trend was the adoption of men using wristwatches in the military. This began in 1880 when Constant Girard decided to outfit his German naval officers with wristwatches. In the following years, doing so became more and more popular. So they used them on the battlefield through World War I had many massive implications. One of the less significant one was use of wristwatches. What happened is that soldiers in the trenches did not want to take out a watch out of their pocket every time they needed to check the time. They opted for the more functional wristwatch, like I've got right now. Got a red one because I'm wearing a red shirt, which could be checked immediately and did not require the soldiers to take one of their hands off their weapons. Beyond the convenience, though, having the time handy was a critical factor in making military maneuvers. The reason that different groups of soldiers could coordinate attacks, even if they could not communicate, instead they would agree to attack at a particular time, use their watch to confirm coordination. Now, wristwatches took over. It was now acceptable and trendy for men to wear wristwatches, kind of like me. That's why I don't have an Apple. We'll talk about that in a minute here. Watch company marketing department's going to use depiction of soldiers wearing them. So that's what got the men to really look at them. The result was an explosion in the popularity of wristwatches, which allowed them to nearly take over the entire pocket watch market. Now, with technology advancing, once watches became massive in industry, money came pouring in for research and development. And this added features such as chronographs, quartz movement, useful bezels, and all kinds of things. So, watches then got smarter. In the last 20 years, computers have been getting smaller and smaller. First, they went from size of entire rooms to a personal computer. Next, we developed laptops and smartphones. Now, in the modern age, we can fit advanced computers in tiny compartments that fit on our wrist. I chose not to go like with the Apple Watch. And the simple fact is, I like to wear watches and accessorize with clothing. Once I get an Apple Watch, it'd be over. I mean, I would never want to wear it. When you go shopping for watches online, most of the pieces you come across are vastly different than timepieces throughout history. What you see today, accumulation of hundreds of years in advancements. Now, whoever you are, whatever you're looking for, there's a piece for you. You know what? You just got to go find it. And you saw those pictures. Let me put those pictures up again. Some of those are not expensive. A lot of them are just, I like the design, I like the color. That's why I got them. So, anyway, hope you liked this about watches. That was interesting to me. So I wanted to bring it to you. This is, my world. This is Vinnie. This is the world according to Vinnie. And it's my way of kind of taking a look at some things. So, enjoy. Hope you did. Check out my channel on all kinds of other videos I did. Got some exciting stuff coming up on my trip to the Lincoln State Park with my family. I'm going to do that maybe for Sunday Fun Day. So take a look this week. Glad you're here. This is Vinnie. And this is the world according to Vinnie. Be good. Take care.